Welcome to the film podcast that nobody listens to. I am Brodey.
And I'm David.
And this is the second episode of this newest podcast that is groundbreaking in the film podcast world. I mean, we are just shattering records and taking over the world, aren't we, David?
Yes, absolutely.
Last episode was fun because we got to talk about our favorite films, Jaws and The Dark Knight. It is on my YouTube page, which I'm sure you'll see if you're on the page because you're listening to this one now, or I guess not because no one listens to this. Anyway, let's just jump into the topic. So David and I decided that each episode, one of us will pick a topic. The other person will recommend a film that was in the last episode. So this episode, David recommended a topic. And David, what's that topic?
It's James Wan and his impact on specifically the horror genre ever since he's shown up in Saw. Really.
Yeah, James
Where
Wan.
it all starts. And
Well, he's the man.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. He's the man. And I think I was the reason I was inspired to do this specifically was because Malignant just dropped a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Was outstanding.
Dude, I was just like, this. I loved it. It's very campy. It's very weird. And I love that James Wan is able to make these weird fucking movies. And it's just awesome. It's not for everybody. I can see that. But, you know, we loved it because it's just, that third act is fucking bonkers.
It's the best. And that, I mean, should we say spoiler alert for people who haven't seen it? I mean,
yeah, okay, spoiler alert for Malignant.
Yeah.
Just fair warning. All right, so that dude, the backwards walking demon villain was absolutely hilarious to watch. And I don't mean hilarious in a bad way. I mean just like I'd never seen that before ever, and it was quite the treat.
It was great. And I saw when she, or I guess we can say he, right? It, attacking people. This looks incredible. I mean, James Wan shot the shit out of that movie.
Oh yeah,
that might be the best work he's ever done. Just direction wise. I'm like, God damn, he shot this shit so well.
Yeah,
and I could see that because I think it's like a $30 or $40 million budget. And I could see the actual production on screen because he shot it so well.
Yeah, no, he did. Especially with I don't know if that was a stuntman or they got someone who was able to do that. I mean, like this, it looked real. I don't know if it was CGI or not, but my God, that whole like police station, prison, massacre was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. How were they able to get someone to do that backwards?
I have no fucking idea. I have to say that this is so good. A great horror movie twist.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's right up there, and I think it sort of connects it because at that point, before the twist came in, I had still liked the movie. I liked the campiness of it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is solid. I had seen a lot of people really didn't like people that loved it, and I don't really get the love or the hate for it. And then the twist came in and just made everything make sense. Everything just fell into place after that.
Yeah.
And God, I loved it. And that third act, you're right. That third act is spectacular.
Yeah. No, it really is. James Wan is better when he's doing crazy weird shit. His energy fits that so well, and it works well with Insidious isn't that weird, but it's creative. Dead Silence, which is my favorite James Wan movie, is very strange, and it works well.
Which is a very hot take, by the way. I Dead Silence is really cool.
Yeah,
but that seems like a very hot take.
People hate it. I don't know why.
Really creepy.
I don't get it. I think it's creepy. Yeah, it's not perfect. Neither is Malignant or Insidious, but Wan really excels in the weird horror, and I don't understand why he is mostly known for the Conjuring films. Actually, I know why. I just thought of it because they're so bland and mainstream that general audiences eat that shit up. And I don't know. I'm just not really a big fan of the Conjuring franchise.
I'll say this. Like, I like the first two Conjuring movies. I think they're good. I'm not, because I remember when they came out, people were just like, specifically the first one, like, wow,
Yeah.
this is that next all-time great horror movie. And in my head, I was like, no, that came out like 3 years earlier with Insidious,
Oh
which
yeah.
was also his.
Insidious is way
Yeah.
more creative, and I just watched it 2 nights ago, and we watched Insidious 2, Emily and I, last night. Insidious 2 is not as good as the first one. That's still directed by James Wan, but I like the continuation of the story. I like that world, so I was liking it. The Conjuring movies, they're just the same fucking family moves into a home, it's haunted, and we have a person who does an exorcist. It's the same shit, and the only reason why I would even watch it is because James Wan behind the camera. He really excels with his energy. He puts so much energy into his films.
Oh yeah, you can feel the energy. Like just watching it, you're like, oh, this. You watch a movie and you're like, I don't know. You can just tell by a style or just like you said, the energy that a movie gives off. The director who did this put so much effort into it. You can
Yeah,
just tell, you can feel it, and you can tell that with every James Wan movie short of Aquaman.
I haven't seen that.
That like, okay, yeah, you don't have to. That's a bad movie, but yeah. Anytime he directs, I'm like, okay, I just can't wait for this because even if I don't like the movie, which is going to be very rare anyway,
Mm-hmm.
it'll at least be very different. It's not going to be some bland shit. It's going to be very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And you brought up Insidious 2. I think Insidious 2 is really good. I love the way they weave in, the stuff from the first one too, like the doorbell stuff.
Yeah.
All that stuff is really well done.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
And yeah, I mean, the first Insidious, I think we should talk about the first Insidious, right?
Oh yeah.
Because that might be the greatest horror score of all time.
Oh dude. 2010. I remember this specifically. I went on a date. I went to the local theater. I sat in one of the medium-sized theaters, big screen, and I just remember the intro with the little Patrick Wilson in his room and the woman in black, and then it cuts to the Insidious with the fucking violins. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great, and I just remember loving every second of that movie. I'm like, this is amazing. Really, really had an effect on me back then, and I still to this day, it's still very creepy.
There are a few that I'm like, and I've probably seen it at least a dozen times by now.
Mm-hmm.
And very few movies that can still scare me just as much.
Mm-hmm.
That movie, it's that score. That score just is like chill. I don't know what it is, man.
Yeah.
And then I guess the guy who did the score also plays the demon in the film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so that guy, yeah. And as far as I know, I think what he used the organ that he uses for the score was something down in an alley, and he was like, "Well, we can make something really scary with this." And I think that's why it sounds so kind of creaky and whatnot of the
Yeah.
piano and a lot of that. It sounds because they use like really old like piano to do a lot of the score so well.
Yeah. The score is great, even with its usage. Like I think my favorite scene is in the beginning when her name's Renee. Renee is on the piano and the baby monitor speaker thing is on the piano, and she like hears someone whispering. That takes me back to the movie theater. I remember that scene was really, really creepy, and like it's just someone like saying, I want it now, and then he said, I want it now, and then the fucking music blares, and that fucking scared the shit out of me. And she goes upstairs and there's no one there. She's like, what the fuck?
Oh god, I'm getting thinking of creepy.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a baby monitor in a horror, you're like, oh, I can't wait for this. How they explore how they're gonna. Man. Insidious, and then I would say there's a lot of movies that kind of overdo the jump scare, the fake jump scare, which is annoys the shit out of me
Oh, jump
more than
scares.
anything else.
Yep.
But not even the jump. I'd say the fake, oh hey, we're building up the music to somebody opening a closet and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
That's just cheap.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
That's
But
way more common than it
Insidious
needs
does
to
not
be.
do that.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, Insidious when she moves into the second house and you're sort of walking right through her, and it's really well directed by James
Yes.
Wan.
Yes.
It's so beautifully directed. It's just like she's walking through, and then on first viewing, I did not notice the kid just sort of standing, leaning against the wall in the corner.
Uh-huh.
And the more you'll just go catch him, and it just creeps you out. It's so good.
Yeah. I love instantly when they move in, like that kid shows up and is like dancing and to that creepy song, and I just love the creativity of Insidious. It's like something we've seen before, but they do a twist with the further, and like it's just really, really, really well done. Like Lee Winnell wrote it. He's also one of the nerdy guys in the movie, and I really think those two are a good pair because they did Saw, Dead Silence, Insidious. They didn't do The Conjuring. I'm positive. I don't think he wrote The Conjuring, Lee Winnell.
No, I know. I don't know how much involvement James Wan had in Insidious, but I know Lee Winnell directed Insidious 3, and I think James Wan produced.
Mm-hmm. But no, Insidious.
And
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
I think what makes Insidious work so well is Lin Shaye.
Yes. Percent. Elite.
Yeah, she's a great character, great performance. And I love Lin Shaye because she has been in the industry for like decades, and she was actually in A Nightmare on Elm Street. She plays a really small part as the teacher in the classroom scene when Nancy freaks out.
I think the whole story is that starting with that because her brother's Robert Shaye, and didn't he start like New Line Cinema or something like that?
Oh, dude, you're right.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's her brother, and so I guess he gave her a role starting at Nightmare on Elm Street, and ever since then she's basically a scream queen. If you really think
I would say she's a scream queen.
And she's right up there too. She's right in the Rushmore of scream.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad she's like the main character of the series. I've seen the first three. I haven't seen the fourth one. My brother saw the fourth one. He said she's a big part in the fourth one. I love that she has her own franchise. It's just amazing. And she is a really great character. Even in the second one when it's mostly like younger Elise, still a good character.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so rare that you have a 70-year-old woman with her own franchise, but it's awesome.
Yeah, an old
she's
white
great
woman.
In every single one of them.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You brought up Saw though.
Mm-hmm.
Saw obviously very notably brought in the whole porn thing. So we, whether that's or not, it genre in its own.
And Eli Roth's been trying to copy it ever since.
Yeah, I was going to say, God. It's Eli Roth.
Awful. He's
but
different story.
Brought in the whole new in the 2000s of horror. Like there were some really good ones, but overall, like nothing really, outstanding in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think after Insidious, there's just been this new wave of just great fucking horror. Like at least one a year.
Yeah.
You can look. Like there's some that I feel like people just have. Like I love the second Ouija movie. That's a really good movie.
Really?
Yeah. If you've ever that Unfriended. There's Unfriended, which is a terrible movie, and then the sequel, Unfriended Dark Web, which is actually pretty good.
Okay.
Like it's kind of weird the amount of like movies you wouldn't think were that good, but like even Annabelle, not the second one. That one's pretty.
The first one was
There's just been
awful.
yeah, it's terrible.
Oh my god, I
Annabelle
remember.
Creation is actually pretty good.
One of them was directed by David Sandberg, I think. No, or Mike Flanagan. One of them made. I think
Yeah,
it was
Mike
Flanagan.
Flanagan. Yeah.
But you're right about like this. Today's horror is very interesting because mostly it's A24 or neon, like artsy, weird shit. And I like that. Of course, we got the big three, which we'll talk about sometime, which is Jordan Peele, Robert Eggers, and Ari Aster. But James Wan is definitely the master of horror in the 2010 and in the 2010s because he's brought so many great films, and especially with like his new one with Malignant. He still can direct horror films. I have tweeted this a million times. James Wan should have been directing these new fucking Halloween films.
Oh, he would bring such life
Yeah.
to that franchise.
Such
And
energy.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how you feel about the 2018 one. I enjoyed it. I actually really like it, and I know it's kind of some people love it, some people hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of just a sucker for the guys. I kind of like swallow up anything they give me unless it's truly awful.
Right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. 2018 is just we'll get in that discussion more towards October, but I wasn't a fan. I'm not really looking forward to these new ones because I don't know. They should just stop making them. But James Wan is from Saw on. The only horror movie I don't like that he made is The Conjuring 2. And that's not his fault. It's just I didn't give a fuck about the story, about the characters, about anything that was going on. It was long as fuck and it's boring. Oh my god, it's like I'm watching Lord of the Rings. I just want to fall asleep.
This movie is an hour really into the movie. No horror movie needs to be 2.5 hours. No horror movie needs that long, and that movie it takes a while to, but I enjoy that. I do like it.
Yeah.
Again, he just shoot. His direction is just so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's very distinct too.
Yeah.
And Leo, I can definitely see how Leo now takes inspiration from his buddy. Because I mean, Upgrade.
I haven't seen that.
And the one that he did up. Okay, great. And Visible, both of those. I mean, they're shot so well.
Yeah.
And I definitely see the James Wan inspiration the way he shot it.
And Lee Winnell's making The Wolfman with Ryan Gosling, which I will gladly go see.
Can't wait for that.
That
sounds awesome.
Like, wow.
By the way, I'm glad you brought that up. Have you seen the 2010 Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie?
Love it.
Thank you. I fucking adore that movie.
It's great. It's very gothic, very well shot. I mean, sure, there's some spotty CGI, but like, I put that on every October. It puts me in the mood, the spooky mood. Benicio del Toro was great. I actually this may be a hot take. I prefer that version than the original 1941 or 2 Wolfman with Lon Chaney Jr., which is an interesting take, but only because the main character in the original is such a piece of shit. He is a awful character. I mean, a little harsh. He's just a creep. He does some weird shit in that movie. And then it's a classic. Don't get me wrong. I still like it, but Benicio del Toro's Wolfman I like that one better.
I know you're a big fan of the like Universal monster movies, so we're gonna have to like go back. We'll have to do a podcast episode just for those.
Yeah.
I gotta rewatch. It's been too long since the original Wolfman, so I gotta check it out soon.
I'll give you some good recommendations.
The 2010 version. But the 2010 I thought was awesome, and I like the fact that for the most part they just use makeup. They don't really use the CGI. This is only when the wolf attacks people, like running on the rooftops.
Right.
I really dig it. think the practical effects, you can almost sense the difference between that and CG. It just works really well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and Rick Baker did the makeup.
Yeah, of course he did. Rick Baker's just amazing.
Yeah. So,
Um,
what's your favorite James
oh,
Wan
but
movie?
you also have
Oh, sorry.
no, you're good. It really isn't this. Like I said, I never. I feel like when you see Elisa's face and she looking at his hand,
Mm-hmm.
it's like this unsettling like feeling of dread, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just sort of like, okay, this is. I'm like, what's wrong? And the fact, and I believe that. Oh boy, what the hell is going on? And when she takes that picture and you see the woman in black, I'm just like, God damn, I will never forget that.
Oh yeah.
Seeing that for the first time, it's so good.
Then the ending, where she's like Renee, and then it just cuts to black. It's like, oh, it's so good.
So good. Is that your favorite James Wan movie too?
No, it's Dead Silence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I think that movie is really good. Underrated.
Oh,
I
by
owe
far.
towards the Bible's James Wan rankings and whatnot, but I love the story. The story is awesome.
Yeah. I don't get the hate, man. I don't understand why it's so hated. Because it's not even that weird. It's creepy. It's unsettling. The twist at the end, which I don't want to spoil, is very unsettling. The dummy's creepy. It's good performances. There's no jump scares. I don't fucking see why people don't like it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a weird. I feel like just a lot of movies that people like to just jump aboard, like the hate.
Yeah.
That might be one of them because I always thought it was, whether or not you like some of the story or whatnot, it's undoubtedly creepy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
That
And I think
dummy.
that's the number one thing you got to look for when you're watching a horror movie. Yeah, dummies.
Yeah, you gotta be scared. You gotta be unsettled.
And you brought up all the more recent. You brought up the big three. We obviously know James Wan is the master of horror the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up the most recent big three. I feel like Mike Flanagan should get thrown in there too because he's directed some really good horror movies this decade.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hush,
I like Hush.
like Oculus, which I fucking love.
Good movie.
Um, and he's got a few of those Netflix series, right? Aren't a couple of those his?
Yeah, Emily watched the first one he made. I don't know the name. I don't remember. But she really liked it. I didn't watch it. I didn't see Doctor Sleep. I want to see Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep's good. Don't let people come as good as the original because it's not, but it's really
Right.
good.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan's good. I like Hush a lot. I think Hush would be my favorite of his. Of what I've seen, I haven't seen everything he's made, so I gotta do like a watch through of his filmography sometime.
What do you think about Oculus, man? I really dig that.
I I loved him. It's the concept is so stupid. It's a haunted mirror, but it's executed so well. Like Mike Flanagan should do a Christine remake because he can take a stupid object like a haunted mirror and make it pretty creepy. And I love how in the end, spoilers, the mirror wins.
It does, yeah.
It's so funny. It's like the guys being taken away and just screaming at that fucking mirror, and that his sister's death. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming at all.
No, neither did I. I did not think they would do that, but I mean, they had the balls to kill her off.
Yeah, in that badass way.
Again, I think one of the whole horror movie thing, I feel like the main somewhat likable or at least relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And she is. Karen Gillan is really good.
Yes.
I thought she's very likable in that movie.
Yes.
Doesn't get enough roles, in my opinion. I've always liked her in pretty much everything she's done.
Wasn't she in Marvel? Like something in Marvel movies or something?
Yeah, she plays. She's in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. I always forget
Oh,
her
okay.
character's name. Yeah, she's good. Don't get me wrong. I just think she should get more
Yeah.
not so main roles where she's the actress. She's great.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely James Wan, Robert Eggers, Jordan Peele, Mike Flanagan, Ari Aster. Like those guys are definitely got some horror movies underneath their belts.
They're carrying the genre right now. Lee Winnell will be right too in a few years.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see who else gets on that new wave of horror list. That guy who made The Empty Man, which I need to see. I heard that's really good.
Still haven't. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, same. I really want. I've been trying to watch that forever, and I told Emily we'd watch it together, and it's just like I don't know when it's gonna happen. Maybe October. But I definitely think James Wan did really came in swinging and hit some home runs for the horror genre. His only miss, for my opinion, is
Absolutely.
The Conjuring 2, but he really, and he's still doing it today, and I'm so glad he's still making weird horror movies. I loved *Malignant*. I want him to keep making horror movies. He can make Aquaman 75 all he wants, but I want him to keep making horror films.
I feel like one of those big blockbuster movies every once in a while, like to make sure that studios are like, okay, this guy, we deserve to give some blank checks.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what he got with *Malignant*, right? I mean, like that feels like a real, like what should have been a small horror budget movie, and oh god, it's so good. I think he spent every single dollar on making that movie like really well.
Oh yeah, when when the villain threw that chair at the end, I have never I've never laughed as hard in my life. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, so good. The twist is so good. It came in so perfectly. Again, spoiler. I haven't seen it, but it was in her brain, the back of her head, the entire time. I'm like, God damn, that's such a good twist.
I love the shot reveal of the thing like in the back of her head, and it's just like screaming, and then the lab's just like, what the fuck? Like my jaw dropped. Like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I mean the way she contorts her body too. I mean, I love all that shit. It's done so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then the chase scene. I love the chase between the cop and that thing, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To me, kind of reminiscent of the first Saw. You remember the chases down?
Yeah.
Jigsaw and get head fucking demolished, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of like again, it's like shot so well. Yeah, I just loved every second of it. So good.
Oh,
It's gonna be a horror classic one day. Mark my words, it'll be a horror classic one day.
James Wan is the king of like horror movies with one name titles. I know The Conjuring is two, but I don't care. So like you got Insidious, The Conjuring, and *Malignant*. Like I know Dead Silence is two, but like he has some really good horror names. Like I don't even know what Saw. Yes, thank you. No, yeah, he's definitely one of the best working today, and he needs to keep doing this shit. He really needs to keep making horror movies.
Yeah, he's definitely in the pantheon. This horror movie director, I feel like it's him and like Tobe Hooper, and obviously Wes Craven's probably the number one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just guys, again, I think that's why I really wanted to talk about James Wan in this episode, because he deserves so much credit just for revitalizing the entire genre.
Yeah.
Ever since Saw, and I mean, I don't love Saw as much as I did that first time. Again, it's another great twist that he does in that one. Some people, I think, do too many twists in movies. Not to call any director specifically, but his twists always work. You know, they always work. Yeah,
I agree. Clearly, he knows what he's doing because he made Aquaman a $1 billion movie.
Yeah, I mean,
That's nuts.
DC is like failing at the box office every single year, and then he puts his name on Aquaman, and it makes $1 billion. I mean,
I do want to
I don't
see
think
that.
that's a coincidence. I mean,
I do because like
you could you definitely could. I don't go into it with high hopes. Yeah.
well, because I saw that scene that was on Twitter like a while back. It's like the rooftop chase where it's a one take, and that looked cool. I'm like, okay, this looks kind of like like fun, like energy. And I saw
Oh,
the octopus
again,
playing the
he shot it
drums.
really well. Yeah, yeah, oh yeah,
Oh
he
man.
shot it really well. It's not trust me on him. It's just whoever did it. Boy, oh boy, but shot really well.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and then I mean, he did one of the Fast and Furious movies, right? Didn't he do
Furious
like
7, the one with
seven?
Paul
Yeah.
Walker unfortunately
Paul
passed away, and he had to like
Walker's.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
But even that
yeah.
one, that's just, he again, he's just so good. I mean, what can we say that hasn't already been said? But he's just great. Love him.
Yeah. I
Yeah, and if
agree.
you ever look at like behind the scenes stuff, you can tell he's just so passionate about the genre itself.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, he just seems
and
like
I
a
don't
really
know.
nice guy.
I love that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that guy.
Yeah, James Wan, keep making horror movies. Do you want anything? Do you want to say anything more about James Wan, or do you want to move on to the next subject, or what would you like to do?
I think we can move on to the recommended film at the what was your recommendation at the end of the last cast episode?
Yes. So just like David said last episode, I recommended a movie for him to watch, for both of us to watch, so we can discuss it. And in this episode, he'll recommend a movie at the end. But my movie pick is, I would say, in my opinion, the most underrated movie. I know that's a term thrown everywhere, but I don't care. It's the most underrated movie I've ever seen. It is called Home Before Dark, 1958. It is a drama about a woman who was released from the psych ward, and her going back into society and how she's treated by society and her family and everything. And one of the most fucked up films I've ever seen. But David, what did you think about it?
I really dug it. Uh, I've never seen a woman get so mistreated in a movie.
Oh my god, it's awful. It's so hard to
Yeah,
watch.
everybody's so into her. Yeah, I'm like, come on. Like, there are some movies. I feel there are movies where you just get more and more frustrated with what happens to certain characters, and it's obviously done purposefully.
Mm-hmm.
And with this one, I was like, God damn, everybody is such a dick to her.
It's so fucked up. It is. Oh, by the way, spoilers for Home Before Dark. Um, I watched this because I was watching Dan O'Herlihy films, who plays I guess the antagonist in this movie, and I was blown away from start to, from the very first shot. The song played, that pretty little song, to the very end. I'm like, yep, that is cinema. I will. It's my. I said it's my third favorite film because I've never been so disturbed by a drama. There's no violence. There's no murder. There's nothing fucked up about it. I mean fucked up in terms of like violence and horror. It's just a drama, mostly dialogue. That's it.
Yeah, and you brought because in my head, I thought it was interesting that I'd never heard of this movie, never heard of it.
It's a shame.
Um, yeah, and then I looked up Letterboxd. I was like, wow, I'm sure somebody like other people have it. I think you were the only one who had logged it. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then so I was like, all right, how did Brodey hear about this movie? And
Yeah.
so I looked at and I was like, okay, Dan O'Hurley is in it, and of course from Season of the Witch, your favorite horror movie. Okay, this all makes sense now. All right,
Yeah.
and he's great in it, by the way.
Oh, he's
He
phenomenal.
he does such a good job of playing like a sort of cocky rich, but also kind of suave. Like I get why Joan is into it. Like I kind of like I get why they were all into him. I get
Mm-hmm.
why they fell for him to begin with. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
He's such an asshole to her as to Charlotte as the movie goes on.
Yeah. He's like, I wrote down, he's a great villain. He's an asshole, but he's subtle. He's not
Yeah,
verbally abusing her. He's not abusing her. He's just at the end of the movie when they have that big confrontation scene in the hotel. That's my favorite scene, by the way. He looks at her and says, "I know you're doing all this just to please me," and walks away. So he's aware that Charlotte is doing the everything possible to please him and just get him to love her, and he's just like, I don't care. That's fucking awful.
yeah, that might be the worst insult anybody throws at her in the movie.
Yeah. It's like, God damn, bro. Why did you marry her?
Yeah.
Dude, why do you think he married her? I was thinking that was the question that I was thinking when I was watching it. Why does he marry her then?
That's a good question. You see, my whole thing is, I think he was just like, I think he did it because he could. I think he never was that into her, and I think he was just like, you know what? Why not? You know what I mean? Because when he throws that insult, it plays like, I get that you're trying to impress me and that you're doing all this for me, but I genuinely don't give a shit. That's basically what he said. That his tone of voice said that basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean yeah.
I
She is so good, by the way. Gene Simmons,
Oh yeah.
incredible.
We'll get to
Not
her.
of Kiss fame, just so people know.
We'll get to her in a second, but I think why he married her was for the image, because the entire film he is only worried about how he looks and how people think of him. The entire movie, he's always talking about how like she's embarrassing him. She needs to, stay in bed all day. And it's like then divorce her, man. He's so worried about this goddamn promotion. Just fucking divorce her and marry Joan. You are making this so complicated for no reason. No fucking reason.
Yeah, yeah.
He's fucking great. I love it. It's one of my favorite performances. Speaking of performances, you just said it. Gene Simmons, not the rock star.
No, yeah, not of Kiss fame.
The actress, one of the best performances. I would say the best female performance I've ever seen. It's up there with some other ones, but she is so good in this movie, unbelievably good. Like I can't sing enough praises for her.
She's great, and I kind of like started doing like a deep dive of like her filmography. I wish she had worked with some more notable directors. I don't think she ever got a chance to work with like Hitchcock, but she would have been great in those types of like noir,
Oh yeah.
films. Like she just has this presence about her. I think it would have worked so perfect.
Mm-hmm. She was in Spartacus. I haven't seen that yet. That's Kubrick. So she's in a Kubrick film.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I've seen Spartacus. I didn't realize she was in.
Yeah, I still need to see that one for his filmography. But I mean, dude, from start to beginning, I believed she was the character. I never once saw the actress. I saw Charlotte Brown. I just felt so bad for her, man. I mean, literally from the very beginning. I've noticed this too because I've seen it 4 times now. As soon as she gets home from the hospital, everybody in the house, by the way, can fuck off. Everyone in the house just controls every move she makes. Go to bed.
Yes.
Blah 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 blah. And until finally the ending, she finally stands up for herself and says, "No, I'm gonna do what I want." It's just so every dialogue they tell her, it's a command, it's a control, and it's not. They're not like a Disney villain. I believe that they believe what they were doing was right. They weren't doing that to spite her. I just think those characters thought they were trying to help her, but they weren't at all. They were actually really, besides Arnold, they were really just controlling her. Every move, man. I mean, every move, they were controlling her.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think Arnold is the only one that has. I wouldn't say bad intentions, but he's just a real. Seems very like a sociopath to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think Joan was trying to be awful to her. I just think she was accidentally. I don't. I think she was actually looking out for her.
Mm-hmm.
Is it made clear? So again, you've seen it 4 times. I've only seen it once. Is it made clear that Joan and Arnold really did the thing?
What I love about this film is that it doesn't give you a clear answer. Everyone in the town thinks so. Charlotte thinks so, but because her jealousy was so bad, they put her in an insane asylum because she was so bad. They basically lied to her. I actually, you know what? I think all the characters in the house are fucked up, and sociopaths. Because I do believe Joan and Arnold did have a thing. I don't know if they were fucking or Arnold just wanted her the whole time, but they put her in a psych ward because she was so convinced that there was an affair. But they basically lied to her and said no, it wasn't. And I read the book, and I'll get into the book in a second. But I believe they were like a thing because just look how they were at the end. At that dance scene.
Yeah, I believe they were mostly because he treated her so much better than Charlotte. It's so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
One of the scenes that I remember the most, I don't know if it's my favorite, but it stands out to me is when she comes into the ballroom and everybody sort of looks at her like she's absolutely out of her mind.
That is one of the hardest scenes I could ever. I just can't watch that scene. It's so with that music, that little mental theme she has, like those violins flare up, and she's walking through with the oversized dress and the Joan hair, and it's so heartbreaking because her intentions are innocent. She just wants to please her husband, but she's unfortunately she is crazy because they made her crazy, you know. And it's not her fault. And Arnold calls her grotesque, which that's probably the worst language in the movie. And she is just, oh my God. That scene, dude, I can't, it's great. It's phenomenal. It's really well done. But like in terms of like witnessing it is so heartbreaking. It is so heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, I mean, he carries her out of there.
Yeah.
He literally picks her up and just carries her out of there. Yeah, I mean, that poor woman. She's so great. You're right. You can't even see her. I can't see that actress in that.
Yeah.
That felt like a real person to me.
Every character, even Dan O'Hurley, which I love, I still see the character. Something I wanted to bring up with you. So this film came out in 1958. It's based off a book, same name. I read the book. Very, very well written. The author wrote the screenplay, which is really cool.
That's very rare, too.
Eileen Bassing and Robert Bassing also co-wrote the script. I don't know if that's her husband. I tried looking it up, and Eileen Bassing is not really, there's not a lot of information on her, but the book is very well written, of course. The book, I would say, is more fucked up. It's the same story, but told kind of differently, which is cool, because the author wrote the movie, and it's not really the same. I mean, same events happen, but in different ways. In the book, this is not trying to be crude here, but Charlotte just wants to fuck Arnold, like her husband. She wants to have sex with her husband, and Arnold just basically says no. The whole story.
Yeah, doesn't want to
because what kind of dude is he? Sorry, but which shows that he really doesn't love her. That because he won't even commit to doing that. You know, it's really fucked up. But what I love about this movie is it's from 1958, like I said. It touches upon mental illness like no other film I've ever seen, and it's from the 50s. It really shows the importance of mental illness. You know, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, wow. Because in 58, I mean, there's nobody doing movies like this.
No.
Not about mental illness. Nobody's going to touch that. Nobody's going to touch that subject. And you're right. I mean, probably not since Requiem that I can think of has there been a movie where they touch upon it. And obviously that's just a different type of movie. But, like,
yeah,
this one, it's very interesting. I can't wait to rewatch it. I want to rewatch it to try and see what I can get out of it. What more I can get out of it.
Yeah.
On repeat viewing. It's
a good time capsule for what people like Charlotte went through in the 50s. Because it's so fucked up. Like, I don't know. They don't show what she did, which is great because it makes you wonder, like, what did she do to get thrown into psych ward? But she was probably so convinced that Arnold was having an affair with Joan that she just had a mental breakdown. And they just said, all right, go to the psych ward. And that whole scene, the whole confrontation, I'm glad she got to confront all of those bitches at the end where she's like, fuck you and fuck you and fuck you, basically. And then she's like, Arnold, why didn't you put me in a private institution? And then he wouldn't answer, and she's like, Arnold, why didn't you put me in a... And he's like, he's like, what do you think? It's a hotel? Like, he easily could have put her in a better establishment, but the place she was in must not have been that good. But anyway, a woman can be thrown into the psych ward for just having a mental breakdown. A normal, not normal, but like, you know, today mental health is so broad and more discussed, which is good. Back then, you could have a bad day at work, flip out, have a panic attack, and get thrown into a psych ward. Or you know, that's how bad it was. You know, it's an eye opener for how it was back then, and it's amazing that it was even made. You know,
totally. And you see, I'm not even 100% convinced that she actually did do anything terrible. What I think probably happened is Arnold probably just threw her in there.
Yeah,
I think he did that just to try to get more love. If he and Joan did have something going on, that's the only reason he would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I think happened. He just had her committed just so he could, you know, have some alone time with Joan, basically.
Every scene he's in, Joan is with him. Every scene. And
yes.
I noticed this in the beginning when Arnold shows up to the psych ward. The doctor comes out and is explaining what's going on. He's not paying attention to the doctor. He's paying attention to... He takes off his gloves so slowly as the doctor explains what's going on. Instantly, we see that he doesn't give a fuck about this. He doesn't even say, "Hey, I'm happy to see you." The acting in this movie to me is just amazing because it's so subtle. It's a very subtle movie. Like, they don't just come out and say, "Hey, she's mentally ill," and Arnold doesn't love her. It really takes its time establishing this story and the subtle movements with the actors. Like, Dana Hurley is so good. And the one scene where she buys a dress and she's like, "Hey, Arnold, do you like my dress?" He's like, "Why'd you get a dress?" Like, he's such an asshole.
He's such a dick. Yeah.
But he's a subtle asshole. He's not like you know, a cliched movie asshole. He's very like I guess passive aggressive. Would you say he's that?
He is. The way that he talks to her is very, like you said, it's very subtle, but I'm like, I can feel the disrespect in the tone of his voice. And I can feel because he'll pretend to care about her. He'll be like, you know, Charlotte, like, let me go check on Charlotte.
Yeah.
You know, like, he'll be like, oh, let me go upstairs and check on Charlotte. And the way he says it, it almost feels like a chore instead of like, I want to go and see how she is.
Yeah. See how my wife is.
Like, his line delivery is just so good.
Yeah. That's the only scene where he actually put effort into seeing Charlotte. It maybe because he was a little drunk, and then they kiss, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is he actually gonna like fuck her this time? And he's like, no, all right, see ya. Oh, dude, in the beginning with the doctor, he asked him specifically, do I need to be in the same bed with her? Can she just be alone? And the doctor's like, no. If anything, she needs love and care. And he just looks so annoyed. So he lies to her. He says, the doctor said you have to be alone for a while. I'm like, dude.
I never caught that. Holy shit, you're right.
Fucking savage.
Yeah.
God, you fucking savage. Something I wanted to bring up with you. We talked about this in the last episode with The Dark Knight, where I know you said the same thing, one of our favorite things about films is when the hero and the villain have a conversation, like the Joker and the Batman and the Dark Knight. That's the best scene in the movie. I noticed last night, this entire film is that Charlotte is the hero, Arnold is the antagonist, and they have many conversations, and we see how they interact and how each character, like, you know what I'm saying, like how Charlotte does everything she can just to get something from Arnold. Arnold's like, I don't give a fuck. Especially that one scene where Arnold finally admits to Charlotte that he never loved her. That's my favorite scene, by the way. That big fight at the end. It's not even a fight. It's just a conversation. So the whole movie is that trope for me. That whole hero and villain talking. And I love that, dude. I love that.
Great. And by the way, just a fun side note. About me, I guess we got to talk about too. Jake.
Yes.
Who plays
Diamond?
Diamond. Yeah. So, quick side note. He really voiced Alfred Penn in the '90s animated series.
I knew that. I saw that too last night. I was looking his character up.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's neat. Because when he would speak, I was like, man, I is that, I don't know if it's him or if it's his voice. But I'm like, I recognize him. And when I looked at him, I was like,
Yep.
okay, that's where it's from. Makes total sense.
He was a great character.
But yeah, we got to talk about it because I really dug him. The only person that shows her compassion in the entire movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he acts like a normal person.
Yeah. And I think maybe part of it is because like he very notably is like being discriminated against at the college that he's working at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he says something about there being some anti-Semitism there.
Yeah. I love that we have a character that's outside of this world. He's kind of like a fish out of water, and he just sees how she's treated. He's like, this is fucked up. Like, you should not be treated this way. Everyone in the town treats Charlotte like shit. Her family treats her like shit. But Jake, I mean, I guess that Ham, the one side character, Ham, her ex-lover, doesn't treat her like shit. But Diamond really just shows compassion, and I'm so glad that she went with him at the end.
He seems like this really weird world of just of assholes. He seems like one normal guy where he's like, "How are you guys all cheating?" I don't know. He's like the one normal person, like the voice of reason, basically.
Yeah. I love that scene where it's a little towards the middle where there's Charlotte has an argument with Maddie or the maid, and Joan said, "Oh, stop doing that," and Jake defended her. He's like, "Actually, she did do that. Like, he stood up for her." And then Joan just kind of like looked over for a quick second and was like, "Oh, whatever." It's like, thank you, fucking finally, somebody is standing up for Charlotte. I can see why she would be crazy, because her fucking family, which is not even her real family, it's her stepsister and stepmom that live in her house.
Yeah, no, and even the maid is like a bitch, right?
Dude, everyone in the fucking movie, but it's a good.
He fucking fires her. I love when she's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking firing your ass. Like, get the fuck out of here."
And then they're like, "She's not fired," and she's like, "Yeah, this is my house. I'm paying her, so fuck you." I love it. I love when she's finally
fired. I was like,
"Oh,
yeah." I was like, "Fuck yeah!" There you go.
Thank you. What was I gonna say next? I think it's really well shot and directed. It's directed by, hold on, I have his name popped up. It's it's Mervyn
Leroy, right?
He was an uncredited director on The Wizard of Oz, which is kind of
cool. Wow,
which is kind of cool. There's like a fuck ton of directors for The Wizard of Oz, but he was one of the uncredited ones. Dude, I'm going to watch his other films. This guy can direct. I mean, he's very subtle behind the camera, but he has some really interesting angles that he uses.
Yeah, I like that scene when she's finally like leaving, and you don't see Arnold's face. You just see his shadow.
Yes.
As she's basically saying goodbye.
Yes.
I love that. That angle's awesome. I was like, oh shit, this is really well done.
Yeah. Really beautifully shot. The black and white looks good. The score, I love the score. I love it.
Score's amazing, yeah. Like it's really good.
Her little mental, I don't want to say mental theme, but when she's gonna have like a moment where her mental illness flares up, it's that fucking violins and then the main theme though is very memorable.
Yeah, and it knows when to pick its spots. It knows when to like be silent, and then when to have when it comes in kind of heavy. It works really well. Whoever did the score to that, I gotta look that up too. Do you know who did the score?
Let me look it up real quick. But you don't really get too many good scores from those older films. I'm not trying to dog older films because that's not right. But like,
I think they're just very generic. It's not that they're bad. They just kind of all sound the same.
Exactly. But this one to me had like that theme, and it just really, especially that song in the beginning, which is a really pretty song. It really fits the film well. The music is done by, here we go, music department, Ray Hendorf, David, Butloff. There's a bunch of people. I think it's, okay, Ray Heindorf did the score. So that's who did it. Okay.
Well, they did a good job.
Yeah. Um, I'm glad you liked it because this could be kind of a hard film to watch, or someone could watch this and say I didn't care about it, which is fine because this is a film you really have to like care about the characters and the situation and the story to really get the full effect. And for me, just from start to finish, I just could not believe how fucked up it is. And it's interesting that I think it's one of the most fucked up films I've ever seen. And again, it's not a horror movie; it's a drama about one person in a family and how she's treated. It's like, and they're not even like she's not tortured. It's not like Eli Roth directed it. It's just subtle, you know?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, you brought up Eli Roth again. Yeah, um, yeah, you're right though. It's because Eli Roth doesn't really know how to direct suddenly.
No, he
But
doesn't.
yeah, this is really well done. And I think you more so than me, because I've always liked noir, but it's really that's your area of expertise because you love it, and this felt very noir esque
Mm-hmm.
to me. And yeah, I can't. Yeah, like I'm excited to do more episodes on films like this, specifically films that people haven't heard of. You
Yes,
know,
that's why I mentioned it. That's
I
why I
enjoy,
recommended it.
yeah, I like doing movies that people haven't. Maybe they've heard of it, maybe they haven't seen it. I don't know. I just like bringing shit that I think other people should be made aware of. You
Mm-hmm.
know, other movies that people should be made aware of.
This is a movie that I will champion until I die. This is a movie I will recommend until I die. Um, it's one of my like I said, it's my third favorite film, which is saying a lot because I love a lot of films. But it's just its quality is so perfect that it's right behind Cold War, and Cold War is behind Jaws. But this should be a classic. This should have won Oscars. This should have won Best Picture. This should have been like a movie you should see, like with Shawshank or Godfather or whatever. But it's not. No, like you said, it's not logged on Letterboxd as much. So like it's criminally underrated. I mean criminally.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that when you recommend it after I saw it, I was like, did this do anything like in terms of awards or anything? And I looked it up, and no, not really. Wasn't really. It wasn't panned or anything critically, but it just didn't do much. And I was like, wow, it's kind of a shock. I'm
Yeah.
gonna assume it's because they didn't really have the like there wasn't a big name attached to the movie. I don't know how big of a name Gene Simmons was back in those days,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I'm just surprised that it didn't do better. It didn't do because this should have been a movie that the Oscars, you know, nominated, especially for like lead actress and screenplay. Like I don't know, this it was robbed, totally snubbed
Yeah.
completely.
I don't know why it wasn't. It's a good example of a movie with good talent behind the camera, good talent, actors, and good script. Probably one of my favorite scripts. Might be my favorite script. The Master is the title right now, but very well done. I saw your rating on Letterboxd. I kind of spoiled myself because I went to go log in. I saw that you gave it. Well, I'll let you say it, but obviously for me, I already praised this enough. I would give it a solid, no matter fucking obviously 10 out of 10. And what would you rate it?
So I gave it a 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to watching it. I feel like it's on rewatch. I enjoyed it. I really liked it. Again, I think Gene Simmons in particular. You're right. That's got to be top 10 performance of all time in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's right up there. She's great. She does a lot of acting just with a look. You know what I mean?
Just with her eyes.
Like her eyes. She's so expressive with her eyes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's wonderful. She was really, to me, what stood out the most. Aside from the direction, the direction is also really
Good. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you liked it, man. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Again, Home Before Dark, 1958. Watch it, please. If you're a lover of films, you have to watch it. It's excellent, and I'm glad we got to discuss about it, man.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, so I can't wait to explore more. You know, especially, I mean, I don't know about you, what your decade of film is. The 50s has so many just underrated bangers, in my opinion.
Yeah.
and specifically of the noir variety. And I'm glad we got to see this one.
I need to explore more of the 50s. That's one that in the 60s. Those two decades I really need to explore more because I've seen a lot of 30s and 40s, of course, because Universal Monsters, and 70s and 80s and 90s, of course, are very popular. But we'll definitely get more into that. But
Yeah.
now it's your turn to recommend a movie for the next episode of our podcast.
Okay. So I kind of went back and forth about this because I'd also thought about maybe recommending a documentary, but I think I'm gonna go with one of my favorite movies that I don't feel like it doesn't get talked enough in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
and that's A History of Violence. Have you seen
Oh,
A History of
Cronenberg. No, I
Yeah.
haven't seen it. No.
Okay.
Okay.
This is one of the it's pretty fucking fantastic. I went back and forth between a few different ones. This one is also very character driven. I think
Okay.
you'll like it. Yeah, this is a strong movie. I feel like you'll really dig it. So, it's A History of Violence, directed by David Cronenberg. Came out in 2005. To me, criminally underrated.
Okay.
Uh, I believe William Hurt, at the very least, was nominated for his performance in it, if not won. Kind of looked at it.
Okay.
I think you'll enjoy this one.
All right. I'm very excited to check it out. Cronenberg, for me, I've watched, I don't know, 4 or 5 of his movies. I've only liked one of them. The other ones I didn't like. I really like, my favorite of his is a really good film that I can't think of it right now. What the fuck's wrong with me? Naked Lunch.
Well, I haven't seen that yet.
Very.
I've heard about that
Very weird. I mean, very weird. Very weird. But no, The History of Violence. Okay, cool. And then we'll just discuss the topic when we get close to that.
Yeah, I feel like I think you'll have a strong opinion on it either way. It's definitely not like a blind movie.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you'll dig it though. I think you'll dig it.
All right. So, next episode, we'll be discussing A History in Violence that David recommended. So,
and I think it'll be your turn to come up with a different topic for us to talk about it overall.
Yeah, we'll just, I can't think of one right now, so I'll just let you know before. So we'll obviously discuss it when we get to that point. So next episode,
we'll title the episode.
Yeah, it'll be titled, so they'll know exactly what it is. But anything else you want to say, man?
No, man. Again, just really enjoyed doing this. Can't wait for the next one. And yeah.
Hell yeah.
So have a good one, everybody.
All right. Thank you, audience. Oh, wait, I forgot. There is no audience because this is the film podcast that nobody listens to. Have a good one.